Where do we start? There is so much to talk about. Oh my days. Okay, start from the beginning. Hello, welcome. I'm Kim and this is the Eco Tree. Today I'm doing a coffee and craft video, which essentially is when I round up what I've been doing over the last month and we talk about an Etsy topic. However, Etsy have had a busy couple of weeks, shall we say. So rather than a topic, we have topics. Yes, there's multiple. Strap yourselves in. Okay, but first, it's not called coffee and craft for nothing, folks. And also, I need this. We are going to get in it. But before we do, makes and whips for February. What have I been working on that is not work related? I'm going to show you. I still haven't got my creaky chair fixed. Okay, so the first thing I made myself was this. It's backwards, isn't it? There you go. It says light, which is my word for the year. And I wanted to make myself a visual of my word of the year because although it's only the end of February, a lot has happened so far this year already after 2 years of there being a lot happening. And I'm a human meerkat, so I find it very difficult to switch off the So I basically based it off the sunbeam design of the pouches that I made last year because I really liked them and I think they're pretty. And yeah, I'm not overly keen on the font, to be brutally honest. It didn't quite go the way I wanted it to. It's pretty wonky, but you know, I like wonky, so that's fine. So that is my first make of February and I'm quite happy with it. Second is not a make because I didn't even finish it. I didn't even get started really. It's a whip. It's a work in progress. It's my logo and I'm going to embroider it. And I was hoping I'd have made a start on it for this video, but no, all we have is it all hooped up, ready to go. So hopefully by March's Coffee and Craft episode, I'll have a finished something to show you, or at the very least something. And then my third and final, I don't know what you'd call this, a make, a whip. It's not a work in progress because I've stopped. It's my little hair, my little spring hair. Oops. There was an idea behind these which kind of fell through. These were going to be like a spring decoration, but I wanted to incorporate hand embroidery because that's kind of my thing. So I tried to stab holes in the bum so that I could embroider little stars, but the holes didn't really come through and it just didn't work out. I'm not shelving these completely. I'm going to do something with them. I quite like them. I think what I might do is just try and cover these holes, paint it and just keep them for myself. But as an item for my shop, probably not. I think these are very, very delicate. They're quite thin and I think they will break quite easily, especially if I keep holding them by the legs and throwing them around. But yes, I think maybe I'll keep these for personal decoration as opposed to something in the shop. But I'm just going to stick that idea. I'm going to put a pin in that idea and come back to it at a later date. Maybe I'll have something next year. I don't know. So yes, there concludes my works and whips for February. Moving on then to my goals for February, which I've done better, I'm going to be honest. The first one was, oh, here we go. This is going to be fun, isn't it? What was my first one? Ah, yes, getting the Valentine's Day cards up. And I did it. And they sold out. And so I had to make more. And they sold out. And it was pretty blimmin' successful, considering I was in a bit of a tiz about the fact that I was so late with them. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with those. So that goal, a big tick for me there. The second goal... Okay, the second goal was to... I think I settled on starting the spring collection, at least the patches. And I remember thinking that it would be nice to have them all finished, but I thought that might be a bit ambitious. This is the hoop that I will be using for my patches. And as you can see, I haven't even got them hooped up. So nope, big fail. I did not even manage to start the patches, and they are supposed to be going up in a few weeks. So, moving on. Launching collections is going well for me. As you can see, I struggle with keeping myself organised and on time. But in my defence, life just keeps on happening, and I am a one-woman show. Moving on to goal number 3. Cutting sugar out of my coffee. She says drinking a bucket of coffee with sugar. I had some coffee without sugar. It doesn't hit the same. So I started a habit, but considering it supposedly takes 90 days to create a new habit, I think I'm doing all right. But yeah, perhaps suggesting to myself that I cut sugar out of coffee completely in 1 month was a bit ambitious, but I am working on it. My dentist is probably not going to be too happy with me next week when I go for my appointment. But you know what? It could be worse. So let's just 1 out of 3. I didn't do great. So let's set myself some new goals, shall we, for March? Well, I think goal number 1 has to be, well, more than just getting the patches hooped up. It needs to be to get the patches made and listed, and that is going to keep me very busy over the next few weeks, because as I say, I've only got a few weeks before I wanted to get them up. I think I was looking at March 21st. We shall see how I get on. And goal number 2, I did think about this before I started filming. What was goal number 2? I think I've got notes somewhere. Oh yes, there's a lady on Instagram who for years now has been running a yearly hashtag challenge, and it's called March Meet the Maker, and there's a prompt every day, but I think she's just doing it weekdays this year. But yeah, different prompts to let small businesses promote and introduce themselves and just have a little bit of fun. I am doing it this year because I think it will be a really good way to just start making videos, reels and TikToks, and is it TikToks? Or is it TikTok videos? I don't know. You see what I mean? I need to get in it. Because for those of you who have been kind enough to come and follow me on TikTok, you may have noticed that I have not done much with it at all. But I realised I've got that paralysis that you can sometimes get before you start something. You don't want to be rubbish. You want what you make to match what's in your head. And I think I just have to get over it and just jump in and remind myself that at the beginning, it's going to be bad. So yes, March Meet the Maker. That's going to give me a prompt every weekday to make a rubbish video, which I intend to upload into Reels and TikTok. So we'll just see if we can break the creativity block that I've been having there. Okay, makes and whips and goals done. Let's crack on with the topics. So if you're new here, what I usually do is in the run up to these videos, I put a question out on my community tab and I ask people what topics they would like me to cover, or if they have a question they would like me to answer, I ask them to whack one over. And the question that I was asked by a lady who didn't realise this, but she has asked a question that is a linking theme to all of the 3 things, separate things, that I am going to be talking about now. Okay, Laura, thank you so much for your question. Laura asked, what are your thoughts on mass-produced items sold on Etsy as handmade? Which I'm pretty sure are made by hand, just not in the sense that most people are looking for. Is it fair for true handmade sellers to discourage this type of retail? So good. And considering that I have some pretty strong opinions on this topic, it was always going to be this question. Okay. What are my thoughts on resellers? Well, I have actually done a video on this, and basically I'm not here at all for throwing things into the ocean because that is pollution. However, I would metaphorically like to yeet all resellers on Etsy into the ocean, unless of course they're suppliers, in which case that's cool. But yeah, I'm not a fan, to put it bluntly. Which brings me rather nicely to a show here in the UK called The One Show. The people within the UK who have anything to do with Etsy are probably thinking, oh, great, she's going to talk about it. Where the rest of you are like, what? In the UK, we have a cheesy but lovely primetime TV program called The One Show. And they do segments of all sorts of things. One minute you can be watching a serious segment about how, I don't know, flooding is affecting people in parts of the country, and it can be quite, serious and somber. And then the next minute we might be talking about, I don't know, a puppy who's adopted a baby duckling or something, as opposed to a grown-up duckling. You get my point. It's that kind of a program. And then the other week, they took aim at Etsy. Oh yes. Okay. So basically, a lovely lady bought an item from an Etsy seller that she assumed was handmade because it was in the handmade category. It was $15.99. It was a lovely Art Deco style shelf, and she bought it. And when it arrived, she got it out of the box, and within the box was another box. Do you want to see what it looked like? Because I got one too. Oh yeah! She got this. You can't see, it's backwards. There you go. That says B&M. B&M is a bargain high street store. We have one here in town, and I went into town the other day to see if they had the exact shelves that this lady had bought, and they do. And she, as I say, she spent $15.99 on this handmade shelf, and I spent £7. Not only that, but we also saw a nice retro-looking side table that my husband thought would look very nice in his record room. I think it was about 20-odd quid. Seen it on Etsy since for over 60. Handmade my behind. Not only did it come in a box that very clearly said B&M, it also says on the box B&M retail with their address and made in China. So not only was this person reselling stuff in the handmade category that was mass produced, which goes against Etsy policies, they also felt confident enough to include it in the original packaging, thinking that nothing would come of it. So basically this whole segment was about resellers. And that is why I spent the first part of that segment going, oh, yes, go get them. It was a roller coaster of emotions because that was swiftly followed on by, oh God, everyone is going to see all Etsy sellers across the board like this. And then by the end of the segment, I was just depressed and sad because what has Etsy become? But again, that is also by the by. There is more. So within this segment, the BBC, they had found 3 separate shops that were reselling B&M goods, all UK based, and you could see the names very, very clearly. Yes, I had a look. I mean, come on, you would, wouldn't you? Out of those 3 shops, one of them, which at the time of the program, they had, I think it was about 4,000 odd sales or anything. It was a fairly decent amount. That particular shop I could not find at all. This is interesting because Etsy took down those listings. This was confirmed by the program, but they made no mention of Etsy having taken down any shops. So I don't know if Etsy went back and took this entire shop down, or if this shop has since changed its name, because bearing in mind they would have been visited by a lot of people who would have seen this show, and you don't want your shop name associated with that, even if it's completely fair enough. So I suspect they are still selling, but under a different name now. The second shop is taking a short break. I mean, of course it is. The third shop now looks as if it is only selling handmade goods, but it isn't. It's still got a cushion up, which looks very similar to the ones that I saw in B&M when I went there the other day. It's not something that they currently have on the website, so I think they've kept it up because maybe they have stock in it, but I doubt very much that it's handmade. It doesn't look it. They did make a bit of a clanger though. They have left their sold items as public. For those who don't know, you can actually set your sold items to be private so that people can't see, and they haven't. So I was able to go back and look at their sold items. When I bought this shelf for my daughter's bedroom, I also nearly bought a lampshade for her bedroom. And that lampshade was on this site, and they have sold so many of them. So yes, they have made a lot of money selling B&M goods, which they have since taken down. This is just 3 random shops. I should point out that there are still loads of B&M items up on Etsy. I went to have a look for some certain things and I saw so much stuff that I saw in the shop the other day. But when Laura asks if it is fair for real handmade sellers to discourage this kind of retail, yes, it is. And if that means reporting items that you find, there is no judgment here at all. The only reason I didn't do it is because, one, too lazy. There were that many of them. And two, I kind of get angry at the thought of having to do it because I feel like, well, why am I doing the work for Etsy? They don't pay me to do this. This is Etsy's job. They should be the ones going through the site and taking this stuff down. It's not my job to enforce Etsy's policies for them. If it was one or two here or there, maybe I'd feel differently. But there was so many of them, I thought, no. And plus, let's be brutally honest, Etsy does tend to ignore it, don't they? Or do they? So that was the first one. Topic number 2. Etsy's recent news that they are going to increase the transaction fee from 5% to 6.5%. Okay, I'm not too bothered about this if I'm being brutally honest. I am surprised that Etsy haven't done this sooner, because that is the one fee that could have risen and yet hasn't. And it is still so much lower than most other platforms out there. When I first started on Etsy, the transaction fee was, I believe, 3.5%. And then it rose to 5%. And this is the second increase. And I've been on it for 15 years. So it's kind of overdue. And while I appreciate they haven't done this because of the rate of inflation and stuff, there's so much stuff going on right now, isn't there? While they haven't done it because of that, they made some interesting comments in their announcement. Seriously, it's quite exciting if they do actually mean it, which is a whole other thing. But let me read. Okay, I've got my laptop because I need to read word for word. What did they say? What did they say? What did they say? In the paragraph entitled "What's Changing," there's 3 different areas that they're going to focus on with the money that this increase creates. They want to bring in more buyers to Etsy. They want to improve support, which I hope includes seller support, and they want to keep Etsy unique. This line got me. This year, we'll expand our efforts to remove listings that don't meet our policies. If you had asked me even 2 months ago if I thought that Etsy were going to do anything about resellers, I would have been like, don't bet on it. Work towards building your own website. I have genuine hope. If that's what comes from this transaction fee increase, I'm here for it. Obviously, I'm trying not to get too carried away because this is Etsy and, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And now I'm going to read another part of this, which will lead on very, very nicely to topic number 3. Where is it? Oh, yes. We'll also make significant investments in services and tools that will make it easier and smoother to grow your business. And then they went on to talk about the new Etsy app that they're bringing out, but it's not limited to that. Right, so Lucia, thank you for letting me know about this. You're an absolute legend. She was sent a survey as a buyer from Etsy, and when she did it, she noticed that the majority of the questions, or at least a lot of them, were focused on the topic of pricing. And she goes on to say, most questions related in price. How much are you willing to spend? Would you prefer to buy in multi-packs, bundles, 3-for-2 offers, sales, etc.? Does this sound at all familiar? eBay. So yes, when Etsy talk about investing in services and tools, I do wonder if that is going to be one of them. And I just worry that it will be yet another thing that devalues people's art and work. Because for handmade sellers, there is a lot of artistry that goes into it. And yet the hustle culture has really crept into Etsy. It's like, make a 6-figure business. You can make gazillion dollars on Etsy in your first second and all the rest of that gumph. And I just feel that this rhetoric, this constant influx of that is making it very, very difficult for handmade sellers to price their items as they should. But then again, I guess this is where the argument for creating your own website comes in. This is certainly where I'm going, because I cannot make and list a lot of the things that I want to make and list, not because the demand isn't out there, but because when people go onto Etsy now, they just simply aren't used to paying what something is actually worth. They're looking for B&M style rubbish now, let's be brutally honest. There are people who are literally going onto Etsy to look for tat. I should also point out that Etsy's definition of handmade is anything that is made by the seller or designed. So print on demand and digital products, they count. So they are not who I want to yeet into the metaphorical sea. They are the sellers who go to their local B&M, pick up a bunch of stuff and then sell it on Etsy and stuff of that ilk, and drop shippers and all of the rest of it. They are the ones that I just want to line up and go pa-tew, 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 into the metaphorical ocean, not the real one, because again, pollution, and it's also just not very nice. I told you there was a lot, didn't I? Refuel. Oh. Well, that's the end of my coffee, so I guess that's the end of this chat. Let me know in the comments what you think of the recent fee increase, and remember, keep it respectful, keep it light. It's backwards, but still, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.